Welcome to R2-3D, my name is Alan, and in this week's video I'll be painting this marvellous sculpt of Vampirella by B3DSERK 3D. Vampirella is available through the Patreon of B3DSERK 3D. I highly recommend you check them out as they're one of the very best for marvellous sculpts every month. I'll leave a link in the description below. I printed the entire project on my Uniformation GK3 Ultra, and thanks to its massive build plate I managed to fit the entire build in just 2 plates. To minimise the post-processing, I strategically placed the supports for Vampirella's legs and torso on the hidden areas. I anchored her legs entirely via the inner hip joint, and I chose to split the dragon's head, the upper part, into 2 pieces. This allowed me to support the model from the inner seams and completely preserve the intricate skull details on the exterior. I used the same 5-minute epoxy to bond the dragon's head together and also to attach it to the seamless one-piece printed base. Because magnets weren't an option due to the tight space constraints, I needed an alternative way to secure the figure, so I anchored her feet to the base by embedding 2 brass cylinders into the dragon's head. I then drilled matching holes into her boots and inserted reinforcing rods. This pinning method ensures that she sits correctly and won't tip over. Now normally I would avoid gluing the figure's legs to the torso before I painted it. However, because the seams on this model would be completely exposed, I had to glue the legs into the hip joints pre-painting and filling the remaining gaps with liquid resin and curing them with a UV pen. In hindsight, I would have waited to apply the primer until after this stage, but it is what it is. And I filled the gaps precisely with a plastic squeezy bottle with a fine metal tip and cured the resin with the UV pen, and then wet sanded the areas with fine grade sandpaper for a perfectly smooth finish. With the gaps all filled, I hit the model with a quick thin coat of black Kaleido primer to reset the surface. Once it was dry, it was time for some zenithal highlighting. Using Kaleido's white primer, I sprayed it from a high angle and mapped out the natural highlights and shadows across her skin and outfit. I made sure to catch her face with the same overhead angle too, keeping the lighting values perfectly consistent across the whole piece. It practically does the pre-shading work for you. With the zenithal foundation established, I began the skin tones by applying the first undertone. I chose Vallejo's Squid Pink this time, a lighter shade than my usual base coat choice, but since she's a vampire with a naturally pale complexion, using this brighter pink helps establish a vibrant undertone specifically for the highlighted areas before building up the fair skin tones. For the shadowy, more recessed areas of her skin, I applied Pro Acryl's transparent red from a low angle. I sprayed it directly into the recesses and the undersides of her anatomy to create a rich, deep contrast that will beautifully tint and support the subsequent skin tones that will be layered on top. The goal here was to simply catch all the shadowy areas of her body, applying a nice thin layer of the transparent red to define the anatomy. For the first of the true skin tones, I applied Army Painter's Ruby Skin from a high angle to establish a nice even base across the model. The key here is to use light controlled passes to allow the pre-shaded pink and red undertones to subtly influence the final look. If the colour builds up too much, it can easily be brightened in later stages. Next I applied a darker German orange tone from a low angle to deepen the shadow details. Just a quick tip, if you ever run low on Orcish Demish or you can't find it, mixing a little red into this German orange makes an excellent substitute for achieving that same deep organic shadow tone. For the first highlight stage, I used Army Painter's Pearl Skin. Spraying this strictly from a high angle simulates natural overhead lighting hitting her anatomy. If you catch the raised musculature of her legs this way, it beautifully defines the shape and muscle tone, giving the sculpt a realistic sense of volume. To ensure her skin tone doesn't look overly pink, I desaturated the tone by using a heavily thinned glaze of Citadel's Phalanx Yellow. This paint is naturally translucent, and by watering it down significantly, I was able to apply a very subtle controlled layer that knocked back the intense pink undertones and balanced the overall complexion. To really sell that ultra pale vampire look, I went in with Kaleido White Primer for the final peak highlights. I just touched the absolute highest spots of her body, like her arms, chest, abs and legs. where the overhead light would hit the strongest, and it really makes pale skin pop. Conversely, I re-established the shadow areas again using orcish dermis. This time I targeted only the deepest, darkest recesses of her anatomy, and once the contrast was locked in, I sealed the entire body with a coat of Vallejo's satin varnish, which protects the paintwork and gives her skin a subtle, realistic sheen. For the boots, I reached for Kaleido's black primer. It actually cures with this awesome semi-gloss satin finish. It's absolutely perfect for leather. I blocked out the main part of the boots first and then took my time carefully painting the rim around the top to keep everything looking nice and clean. For her outfit, what little there is of it, I started out with the perfectly named Scarlet Blood by Vallejo, but once it was fully dried I felt it was a little too bright for what I had in mind and I had to try and fix it. So I went back over the piece with a mix of the same Scarlet Blood and Vallejo's darker gory red. That hit the exact rich deep crimson that I was actually looking for in the first place. To really make her outfit pop, I wanted a super high gloss latex look. I ended up applying a few layers of Vallejo's gloss varnish over the red, and it took a solid amount of patience on my part since I had to wait for each layer to fully dry before hitting it with the next one, but the final shiny finish really paid off. For the arm bangles, wrists, cuffs and that iconic bat motif on her outfit, I reached for an old favourite of mine, Decacolor Gold. This stuff goes on incredibly smooth and honestly never fails to produce an absolutely fantastic metallic finish. Next, I tackled the colour of her outfit, painting it with an off-white from Vallejo. I intentionally avoided the pure white, as I felt this would look too stark against her already pale complexion. Going a shade down provided a softer, more natural transition that complements her skin tones perfectly. For her fingernails, I used the same colour combination as her outfit, a mix of Vallejo's Scarlet Blood and Gory Red. With those details finished, I moved on to her accompanying bat companions, giving them a solid base of Vallejo black. I began texturing the base with a dry brushing of a layer of Army Painter's Mocha Skin. This mid to light brown establishes an excellent foundation tone for the subsequent lighter dry brushing layers that will go on top. Any layers that require a deeper shadow or a more weathered look will be knocked back later and darkened in the process. As you can see here, I began that shading process by applying a layer of Citadel's Agrax Earthshade. This wash is fantastic for breaking up flat, dry brush surfaces and reintroducing deep shadows and contrast to both the textured base and to the cross. I'll be coming back later with a few other selective shades to add a bit more difference to the base. To really push those shadows to the next level, I went in with a pass of Citadel's Black Legion. You really have to be careful with this stuff though, because it's incredibly pigmented and darkens things down in a heartbeat, so a gentle touch is a must with this stuff. To introduce some organic tonal variation to the dragon, I selectively glazed different areas using Citadel's Griftcharger Grey and Gilliman Flesh. Breaking up the surface this way prevents the sculpt from looking like a single monochromatic shade of brown and adds a bit more realism to the depth in the creature's skin. To reintroduce a crisp highlighted detail, I dry brush selected high points with Army Painter's Amber Skin. This provides a vibrant, clean edge to the textures, and I specifically targeted the dragon's teeth, the individual scales and the surrounding skulls to catch the overhead light and emphasise the sharp sculpting. Now for one of the coolest parts of the whole build, the blood dripping down over the base. I used Vallejo's Gory Red to build up the drips and pools, and then coated the whole thing in a heavy gloss varnish glaze. This gives it that perfect ultra realistic wet look, making it look incredibly gory and gloopy and fresh. Yeah! You can see here that the red actually dried with a pretty dull satin sheen at first, and that's not what I was looking for. And so that's why I hit it with those 2 or 3 layers of gloss varnish. It just makes a massive difference. It just gives it a brilliant wet contrast to the dry stone. And to add some life into the bats, I dry brushed their wings, mouths and bodies with Army Painter's Dryad Brown. It works like magic on the wings, and it catches the texture so perfectly that it almost makes them look translucent and see-through. And it also adds a ton of character and really shows off that gorgeous sculpt. And then came the super tricky task of painting in those tiny little vampire teeth. It's such a microscopic detail, but it makes a massive difference to the bats, giving them such personality and a really cool, sinister edge. I gave the bats a tiny dab of gloss black for their eyes and then jumped right over to the logo on the front of the base. I dry brushed this in the same way as the rest of the stonework in the base, and then edge painted the lettering with a couple of layers of Army Painter's Brain Matter Beige. I laid down that bright beige first and then gave the final coat of Vallejo's Scarlet Blood the perfect foundation to really pop and look super vibrant. Next up was the head. Off camera I actually started by giving her eyes a light pass with Citadel's Guilliman Flesh to get a really cool smoky eye look. Then I hit the earrings with my trusty Decacolour Gold. For the fine details I used Vallejo Black in a super steady hand, using fine dabbing lines to paint her eyebrows right under the hairline, and then used that same black to fill in her eyes and lashes. Next I painted her lips using a subtle mix of Citadel's Blood Angel's Red and Vallejo's German Orange. I built this up in a couple of passes and used a slightly lighter blend to add some nice lip detailing. Once the eye black was totally dry, I went in and painted the sclera with Vallejo's Off-White. Because it's actually a super light grey, it's absolutely perfect for eye whites and it doesn't look too jarring. And if you're like me, the eyes are always the hardest part to paint. If you're like me and you make a few slip-ups, there's an easy fix. A simple redo of your outline black afterwards will cover up any overpainting perfectly. So don't sweat it. Everyone makes mistakes and they're super easy to clean up. To bring her face to life, I started her irises with Vallejo's Panzer Dark Grey, slowly working the shape up from a tiny dot until the size felt just right. Next, I filled in the centre with Vallejo's Splinter Green, which gives an awesome contrast against the dark grey outer ring. After that, I added a tiny dab of black for the pupils and a crisp little dot for the catchlight of white. A quick coat of gloss varnish over the eyes and the lips to give them a realistic shine, and she's officially done. And as usual, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone tuning in and a huge shout out to all the new subscribers. Thank you so much. I'm setting a big goal to hit 10,000 subscribers by New Year, and with your help, I know we can get there. So please do me a massive favour, smash that subscribe button and leave a comment in the commenty bit down below. I've also just set up a Patreon page where you can catch extra content and help me keep the resin tanks filled for future builds. So if you're able to support, it's incredibly appreciated. Until next time, this has been R2-3D, and I'll see you in the next one.
Vampirella, they call her Vampirella.